What did they say? They say Hashem. Hashem is the name. Hashem means the name. So what is the name? I don't know. They said to you, Yahweh.
Black super.
Yahweh is no Hebrew name. Yahweh is demonic name. You see? Don't be deceived. If you say John is not going to the scripture, he doesn't know. Now he's lying to you. People are looking up to them.
No, even though I believe there are criticisms I still need to argue against them. Now, do I believe in the veracity of John?
Yahushua is the name of the prophet Joshua. Yeah? Shua is to cry out. Yahusha Shah, go to Hebrew lexicon. S-H-A means salvation. And it's limited to its method of engineering.
If you are a father, your mother of your household. My father is my son. When you died from the boat, he said, be still. Who else did you Jesus. The name.
Jesus coming to correct you. Coming to correct you. All together. Which way? Muhammad said, go to hell. Allah said, show me the best. Well, go to hell. Show me the best. Show me the best. Look at this. You believe in the God that's one. You don't.
What would you do? You don't want money is going to heaven, you murder everyone.
And I'm telling you,
We believe in religion, you will never make a financial life. Don't you think yourself? No religion will save you. Yahusha existed before Muhammad. Yahusha came before Muhammad. His name is not Jesus. He was born a Hebrew. When you go to Quran, you have the Yahudi.
why is there raging light? We're angry about having a party.
You wanna go David Chumsey?
All of that. That's why we have a thing called which is when you pray
How do you propose to pay for the debt?
Your father and mother, but 11-month period. We don't say 12 months. We don't say that. It couldn't be all that bad, and we do it for choice.
I see.
But we hope within 12 months, within a year, the soul is.
Does it not concern you that these rabbis say this, those rabbis say that, and there's no definitive position?
They actually come to each other. They eventually come to final. Probably over the Talmud and the other commentaries, the books. But they do debate. That's part of the oral law, where they come to a final. The question puts me, I don't know for sure.
Because my understanding of rabbinic Judaism
Why do you believe in stupid Jehovah? Why do you believe in religion? Why do people are lying? Why is Israel still there? Why do you believe in stupid
Why did you take Israel?
I am the Yahudi.
After you went out to
Yahudi is the Quran. Why you go to Quran? Who are the Yahudi? I am the Yahudi is Quran. If you don't know this one, Yahudi is the Quran. And the prophet. Bring it up.
Why is it still there?
Yahudi against the Yahudi.
This woman said,
His name is not Isa. Only Yahushua will deliver. Everlasting love is in Yahushua. If you do not repent, and repent in the presence
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
This is the difficulty of believing people based on
Yeah.
They almost want us to standalone authority that's contained to a period of time.
everlasting life.
Okay, go do that experiment.
Whether you want to accept Jesus or not. Even pagan Allah says that Jesus is my son. Even pagan Quran says that Jesus says
Are they not stopping?
They don't care. You go and live. You go and live with these people there. You say Jesus. He's my God. He wants to keep my God. By nature time, nature 13 the Bible. The most important the chain of narration. So you can trace the chain of narration and see is it reliable or not. Can you not?
You can trace the chain of narration.
Can you not?
Granted, yes. Well, what if you can't? Yeah, sure. I mean,
So yeah. So that's the difference. Though. The Bible
Bible has not been memorized off by heart. I never said that.
No, but okay, so why did you say the Bible is not memorized off by heart?
Because my argument, the fact that the Bible has scribal errors, to me would be completely irrelevant if it was memorized. Because then the preservation would be from oral tradition. It hasn't been memorized, so you have no choice but to rely on the manuscript.
Which Bible has it?
Huh?
Which Bible has it?
Has anyone in history memorized the entire Bible?
Well, you can't say the Bible has it. You're talking, there's 66 individual books.
Okay, has anyone
The history of the Torah is completely different to the history of
anyone in history memorized the book of John?
Wait, hold on a second. So,
Use it! Motherfucker, use it!
hold on, let's take.
Which book has been changed? All of them or one of them or which one?
Who give you the right? Who give you the right? Yeah, but they're children. They're children. You want you as a child?
No, I just walked up.
Why should people come to this spot? Anyways.
Yeah, it's not for everyone, is it?
Yeah. And okay,
So when you say the Bible has it,
they say the book of John. Has anyone in history memorized the book of John? The entire book of John?
maybe, I don't know.
Okay, so no.
I mean, we don't use memory as a criteria.
I know, probably have.
So why are you imposing a criteria you guys hold to?
This is the thing.
Okay, go ahead.
When we talk about preservation or reliability, it can come from oral tradition or it can come from manuscripts, right? Am I wrong?
Tradition, manuscript.
Yeah. Now, people say to me, your Quran has scribal errors. I don't deny that. The reason why it's not an issue for me is because I have oral tradition and I have a chain of narration with that. Now, when I bring up the point with the Bible having scribal errors, it wouldn't be an issue for me, like it's not with the Quran, if it was memorized off by heart. But it hasn't been. So you have no choice but to rely on manuscripts, on scribal tradition. Now, when the scribal tradition has errors in it, how can we now actually rely on the Bible?
So
Which part of the Bible?
hold on, let me see. I call your argumentation. So you rely on not just manuscripts, you're saying oral tradition.
Yeah, you can rely on the Bible way.
What's it? Memorization. Yeah. Okay, so where's this oral tradition? Is it not written down?
With the Bible or the Quran?
No, I'm talking about the Quran. You're talking about oral tradition. You know, where they find this oral tradition? This is not what has been written down.
It's been written down, yeah.
Okay, so then it still counts as manuscript, right?
But we don't. That's not our source of transmission because the scribes did make mistakes here.
So why mention oral tradition?
Because our oral tradition has been passed down.
It's been passed down.
Yeah, oral tradition has been passed down. The early manuscripts did have differences in them.
But then we're going around in circles where...
We're not, because what I'm saying is, what do you rely upon? You don't have an oral tradition, you have to rely upon manuscripts. Your manuscripts have mistakes on them, and no one has memorized the Bible to say, that's a mistake, that's true, that's a mistake, that's true. That's the issue with you.
You're still relying on someone's memory being correct all the time. So just because someone's memorized something doesn't mean it's right.
It's not someone's
You're using memory as a criteria for something being true or accurate or factual or
okay, so let's say there was 10
So I mean, I asked you, where are you getting this idea that you memorized? You mentioned someone's name.
Okay, so
and
let's
then
say
you mentioned the chain of narration, and then I asked, where is this? Where is it? You said it's in the book.
I'll respond to that.
When was the book written? 300 years later. I'm ready.
We have a chain of narration going back.
Something that came like 300 years.
When we have a chain of narration going back, yes.
Years later. I'm not saying it's because it comes 300 years later, it's false. But what I'm saying is you can't argue that, we've memorized it, and then you're telling me that it's in a document that's 300 years later.
With the chain of, you're missing out the point.
Chain of
narration going back to the Prophet.
A chain of narration going back to the Prophet,
which you guys do not have.
Book that came 300 years later.
Can a chain of narration come during the time of the Prophet? It's not possible.
Oh yeah, sure. But at least we could have some kind of documentation dating very close to the time of the Prophet.
What would you want? Are you asking?
Well, I mean, I'm merely entertaining the idea of the chain of narration.
You got all the names. Who said it?
Sorry, did you want to ask me a question? No, go ahead.
But they're saying, the book Kitab al-Messiah? He's saying that because it was written after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said you can't rely on it. But I'm saying you have the chain of...
No, I'm not saying it's false because it came 300 years later. Yeah. But what I'm saying is it requires a leap to say that, and I'm like, okay, where? Oh, it's in this book. Okay.
It's been passed to one teacher to student.
I get it. But
yeah, so you want
it dates to 300 years after the fact. So I have to rely on a document that comes 300 years after the fact. So you cannot say as if it's undeniably true that it's been proven in every single way. You could argue that's a good reason, and fair enough. I'm not arguing against that. I can accept that. As a rational, your rationale for believing why it's with them. But you can't say, oh, it's been totally memorized, it's in our head, and then you point to some document that comes 300 years.
No, because if someone comes.
So I'm not saying it's wrong because I needed to understand my argument. I accept that as a rationale for it. No problem. But you can't say oh.
So what I'm asking you, are you asking for a book by Zayd ibn Thabit when he says I wrote the Quran myself? Is that what you're asking for basically? Because that's what it sounds like. You're basically saying I want Zayd ibn Thabit I want an extant manuscript where Zayd himself says I wrote the Quran.
No, I'm thinking probably something dating maybe closer than 300 years to Muhammad.
There's nothing that exists before that.
But okay, I mean, there's not much I can say.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though.
But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's therefore wrong. But if you're gonna say that, oh, we've memorized it in our head, because wait a second, you memorized the whole Quran. Were there not parts of the Quran that we're missing? Never. Never, is sure.
What is it, sorry?
Were there not parts of the Quran that were ever missing?
Like what?
No, I'm just asking.
Okay, let's.
I'm just asking.
Okay, I'm asking. Are you gonna bring up the goat verse?
No, not the goat verse.
What verse?
No, I'm just asking.
No, because when I said no, when I said no, you were smiling, so I'm assuming that you have something you're gonna bring. And I know every single hadith regarding this. I've memorized them all, so I'm asking. Give me an example of what.
There was a reference that I'll need to find it and bring it to you, rather than paraphrase. So who was it speaking?
There's the goat verse, the verse about the
No, not the goat. I mean, you can talk about it if you want. If you can.
You made the argument in it, then.
You talk about change of narration. Have you heard of Ibn Shihab al-Zuri? Alright, and at the time, he's in a lot of the chains of narration.
Shihab al-Zuri? Some of them.
Yeah, alright, so it says here, he studied Hadith and Magzi under Medine's traditionists before rising to prominence at the Umayyad court, where he served in a number of religious and administrative positions. He transmitted several thousand hadith, included in the 6 canonical Sunni hadith collections. And his work...
How you doing? Alhamdulillah. Long time no see.
And his work on Maghazi forms the basis of the extant biographies of Muhammad.
I have no idea. What website are you reading?
No, this is just a
random website.
No, it's just Wikipedia.
Wikipedia, bro. Come on.
Yeah, no, but it's just giving you information about Zuri. But if you read in the actual Bukhari or Muslim, you'll find him actually in the chains of narration.
Can you show me where?
Huh?
Can you show me?
Alright, you know Arabic?
What's going on? He's trying to, he's saying that parts of the Quran were missing. And he's saying that Al-Zuri fabricated most of the hadith.
having a discussion. I'm trying to find.
Let me try to help you if I know what you're talking about.
Okay. Are you familiar with, is it? Abu Ubaid's Kitab Fada'il al-Quran. Okay. Okay, so there was a quote from there. Ibn Abi Maryam related to us from Ibn Luhayya, from Abu Aswad, from Erwa bin Azubayr, from Aisha, who said Surat al-Azab 33.
Oh, yo, what you saying, bro? Long time no see, man. Even, bro.
I'm alright, man. Busy.
What are you into? We're talking about, I'm trying to say that parts of the Quran are missing. But what? That's bugging you, bro. No,
A bit.
Under. It's on the chest.
Yeah, Surat al-Azab used to be recited in the time of the Prophet with 200 verses, but when Uthman wrote out the codices, he was unable to procure more of it than there is in it today.
Can I see the
Well, I've just done a Google search for it, but Abu Ubaid Kitab Fada'il al-Quran. Perhaps you can look it up then. Abu Ubaid Kitab Fada'il al-Quran. Try and see if you can find it.
what's the hadith say?
Ibn Abi Maryam related to us from Ibn Luhayya.
Abu Ubaid Kitab Fada'il al-Quran.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find the page. Need to do better with these references, man. Yeah, see if you can find it. Thank you.
So what are you looking for? What are you looking for?
I don't know. We're just trying to find something about Zuri.
About what?
No, so it's
Usury.
no, it's just some guy called Zuri.
What's in the back?
You can't find nothing in the book.
Okay, let me try this again.
Can you read the chain? Is there a chain on there?
Yeah. Who did you say was in the chain?
Have you heard anything like what I've read before, or sort of like the first time?
That's what you just.
No. Okay.
I know what you just said.
Okay. Oh, then I have to find it then. Because I think that would be quite good. I remember coming across a hadith for this one.
understand what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
You heard of Ibn al-Khattab, right?
Oh, yeah, you have to educate me.
He was one of the companions. He testified in Muslim al-Hakim. He was alive during the time of the Prophet.
Okay.
What you are mentioning has been abrogated from the Quran.
That's convenient.
And let's look at it logically, okay? So the Qur'an of the Quran, the memorizers, let's say there were more than 30, let's say 30 of them. I can give you names off the heart. You're telling me every single one of them conveniently forgot that single verse.
Not that single verse.
So not a single verse, sorry, let's say 70 verses.
It's a couple of.
Okay, it was around
like
the
at
size.
least 100 verses.
Yeah, so every single companion, the 30 of them forgot that the 100 verses.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. This might explain.
No, but what I'm saying is, it's been abrogated. And I'm saying Umar himself says that. What you're saying is that that's
the other source that says it's been abrogated.
it's in Arabic, you wouldn't understand it. It's Mushrik al-Hakim. You see, this is what I don't understand about Christians, yeah?
Okay, fine.
No, but I really don't understand this. No, but my bro, I really don't understand this, yeah? The Muslims learn the language of the Quran. And then when we come saying, I've learned the language of my book, even though you read the Old Testament, you never bother to learn Hebrew. You read the New Testament, you never bother to learn Greek. I learned the language of my book. I don't know what's funny about that. I don't get it. I study the language of my book in its original language. I don't get what's funny about that.
But it doesn't help you though.
How does it not help me?
Because you have the 4 schools of Sharia.
Yeah.
Do they? So all the Arabic that you've read in the Quran, is that what they stand by?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't get where you get. I don't get what's funny. You guys read the Bible and you don't even know its original language. I know more Hebrew than both of you guys.
Oh, that's because why do we need to learn a specific language in order to, like, know God? Is God not capable enough to convey His message?
Because when you translate,
so let's finish.
When you translate a language, are you saying it doesn't lose its meaning?
Well, let's finish this one again.
Okay, then we'll come to that. So what I was asking is, are you trying to argue to me that the 30 Sahaba, all of them forgot their 100 verses?
That's not my argumentation. My argumentation is that if that's the case, then you cannot argue that you've got the complete Quran. Because there are verses that are gone. Are there verses in the Quran today that have been abrogated? Okay, so how come they are still in the Quran, but then those 100 verses are somehow just...
Are there verses in the Quran that have been abrogated?
Yeah, I just asked.
No.
Oh, there's no verses in the Quran that...
Wait, when you say abrogated, are you...
abrogated.
Do you mean abrogated as in the ruling don't apply no more? Or abrogated as in they're not supposed to be in the book?
Say it again. Abrogated due to ruling or abrogated in...
There's 2 types of abrogation in the Quran. Abrogation where the ruling, the hukam, does not apply anymore.
Okay.
And abrogation where it's not supposed to be in the Quran.
Oh, it's not supposed to be in the Quran.
Yeah.
Okay,
So when you say are there abrogated verses, are you talking about the first type of abrogation or the second?
Well, I'm working with your definition, so...
There's two definitions.
Okay, so in regards to the 100 verses in Surah 33, which definition were you applying?
The second one.
The second one.
I'm not supposed to be in the Quran.
Okay.
So, and I can give you evidence for it. The Mushrik al-Hakim, Umar ibn al-Khattab himself said, I would have wrote, because one of the verses was a stoning verse, he said, I would have written the verse of stoning in the Mus'haf if I had not hated adding to the book of Allah. Saying I would have added it, but I hate adding into the Quran. Something that's not supposed to be there. It's in Mushrik al-Hakim.
Okay. So do you have a statement from Muhammad saying that it's been abrogated? No. Okay, so how are they deciding what to abrogate and what not to abrogate? Because it looks like... Because we have this... I'll tell you what it looks like for me. It looks like...
We're just saying that...
I don't remember.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, it's been abrogated. Problem solved.
Because the Prophet ﷺ testifies, he recited the whole Quran, the whole entire Quran, with Zayd ibn Thabit and Umar ibn al-Khattab. The last final Quran before he died, he recited it with them. And they memorized it off by heart. And it was testified by them that they memorized it off by heart.
And where do you get this from?
It was mentioned by Zayd ibn Thabit that he used to write the revelation and the Prophet would guide him on what he's supposed to write.
Which book?
That is in Sunan Abu Dawud. And also, what I mentioned about...
300 years.
No, I said Kitab al-Masad, Sunan Abu Dawud.
Okay, so how long was this book then?
That's like around 200 years. And also, what I mentioned about... Your Bible...
I sure it's 200 years, because it did seem a bit...
Your Bible comes 400 years after... What's funny, bro? I don't understand. The Bible's 400 years after time Jesus. I don't know what's funny.
But do you know what Sinaiticus is?
Yeah, it's the Codex.
Yeah, and where did they get the writings from? So do you...
I want to be able to hear you. I can't hear
So
you.
anyways, I can give you another verse of Omar, where he asked the Prophet, I believe it's in Ibn Majah if I'm not mistaken. He asked him if he could write the book. So the Prophet...
And where do we get this from?
Hadith.
In Hadith? When was the Hadith read?
I don't know when that was written. I believe like 300 years.
If I know, let's move on to you.
Okay. So you think that someone just sat down and just made up what was in it? Alright, so where do you think they got the actual writings that are in there from?
Your earliest manuscript is from the 2nd century, and there's argument that it's maybe not even from the 2nd century, 3rd century.
Right.
I know the argument you're going to make. It came from the manuscripts. The manuscripts, you have nothing from the time of Jesus.
That's fine. So at the time of the Codex Sinaiticus, when they were writing it, so you're saying that the only manuscript or papyrus they had then was from 200 years ago?
No one knows.
So, but that's what is that what you think?
Nobody knows. I don't know.
So you think that what they're writing Codex Sinaiticus from is just a few scraps here and there?
It's a big possibility because, for example, the passage of the Adulterous Woman wasn't even in P66.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that you have entire passages, not verses, entire passages, which are in the Codex Sinaiticus, which weren't in the early manuscripts. So yes, it's a high probability that many of the manuscripts that you have today weren't even known during the time of the Codex Sinaiticus.
No, I'm talking about back then.
Yeah, yes, most likely, yes.
Yes, that information written in Codex Sinaiticus, you're saying they just got that from nowhere?
A large portion of it, most likely, yes.
From nowhere?
A large portion of it, yes, most likely.
How are you concluding that?
Because entire passages in the Codex Sinaiticus are not in earlier manuscripts.
So, wait, you mean how?
But now, is it funny now about Kitab al-Masahif?
Huh?
I'm saying, you guys are laughing about Kitab al-Masahif. You have an issue with your Bible like this.
No, it's because what you're saying is that...
We're not declaring, I'm not claiming that we've got all our manuscripts in perfect order. I mean, it would be nice, but I'm not claiming that. But I'm saying the manuscript issues that we have is similar to you as well.
No one's memorized the Bible. And the point we made about language, by the way.
The Bible there's more content in the Bible than the Quran.
Yeah.
Right? The Quran is only a part of the New Testament. There are over 7,000 verses in the New Testament. Yeah, what have we got so far? 6,235, like educated, like in the Quran.
Yeah.
About that amount, right? Yeah, over 31,000 verses we got. So in terms of content, we got more than you. It would be impressive if you can memorize all 31,000. Then sure, you got a good argument. But he's going to say, we've memorized the Quran when it's just over 6,000.
No one has even memorized the book of John. Am I lying?
Even if there was someone who memorized the book of John and came here and recited it to you, you'd be like, so it's still not a good argument.
But what I'm saying is...
Why should memory be an indicator of whether
because scribes make errors.
So memorization doesn't...
What?
Memorization is perfect.
If the Quran, yes. They verified the Bible.
No, is memorization perfect? Forget the Quran.
Yeah.
So memorization is perfect.
What's written down?
Yeah.
How?
So that's the reason why you're saying that.
No,
yeah, that's the reason why, because you made an assumption.
Okay, you have 100 people that memorize.
That's assuming we've got 100. Okay, I'll go with your assumption.
If somebody makes a mistake in it, if someone makes a mistake in it,
someone will correct it.
Are we not exactly? Someone's going to correct it. Now, when it comes to the Bible, your original copies you don't have. What was in them? No one knows.
No, but if you make mistakes, like which Quran are we talking about? Right, the Hafs, the Walsh, the Aduri, the Abu Jafar.
All of them have been memorized.
Oh, no, that's
which one are we?
All of them have been memorized.
But you're actually making it easier for him. You know about the Codex, the Sana manuscript?
Yeah.
So Sana manuscript, is that identical to the Arabic now?
The Arabic now?
Yeah.
It doesn't have haraka.
No, I'm talking about the razan, the actual letters. Yeah, the letters themselves.
So without the dots?
No dots or nothing.
No.
It's not identical.
No.
Alright, so what they wrote that Asana manuscript from, would that have been from a recitation? Memorized?
Yes.
Alright, so what they memorized there is different from what you'd memorize now?
No.
It is, because what's written is different.
No, it's not.
Huh?
You can read.
You just said it was. You said it was different.
What's Irab?
Huh?
Irab. What's Irab?
Oh, I don't know Arabic.
What's harakat? What's harakat?
Oh, I don't know.
You can read the recitation from the Sunday manuscript. You do know that, right?
It's just without the dots and everything.
No, I'm talking about
I can read it myself. You do know that, right?
Yeah, I know. I've seen it. But
Yeah, people that know Arabic, especially Arabs. I'm not Arab. The Arabs, they don't require the dots. They can read it without the dots.
Yeah, but that's not what I mean, I'm talking about. When I ask, is it identical? Is the actual writing identical?
No, it didn't contain the harakat. No.
No. Alright, so do you know what it says in the Sana manuscript?
What does it say in Sunday manuscript?
Well,
I think it's probably got it.
No. So the standard Arabic says, do not shave your heads until the offering reaches its destination.
Can you get it for me? Because I want to see. I want to actually read it.
What's that?
The manuscript that you're quoting. Can you get the actual Arabic one?
I said you'd.
I don't say memorize it.
Huh? I didn't say memorize on Quran.
Well,
wouldn't have said that.
But you said you've read it from the Sana manuscript.
Yeah, I've read the manuscript. Memorized the whole thing.
Alright. So you're telling me when you read 2196.
Can you bring it up so I can read it? Can you bring it up so I can read it? 2196.
Yeah.
Oh. 2196. Right. 2196. Looking up. He's trying to say that they're trying to argue me about Arabic and they don't know Arabic.
I wasn't arguing.
Not you, this guy. I don't talk to this guy no more, you know.
I wasn't arguing about Arabic.
Right, my man's trying to argue with me about Arabic and he doesn't know Arabic. He's trying to argue that you can't trace the Hafs and the what. He made an argument about Ahruf and Qira'at, and he's trying to say that you can't trace it back to the Uthmanic manuscripts and the early and Sun as well.
What's that about?
You're trying to say that you can't trace the Ahruf and the Qira'at to the Sana manuscript and the Mus'haf. Is that your argument?
Well, no. What I'm saying is that why is it that you want those Qurans, especially? I mean, Sana doesn't look like it's as easy to do, but you know about the Birmingham manuscript. Yeah. So is the Birmingham manuscript, is that identical? It's not. Yeah, but why not?
They didn't have the haraka.
No, but you're saying the actual writing part is identical.
The actual writing part?
Yeah.
Most of it, I think around 95%.
No, but are there bits where there are differences?
Yeah, around 4%.
Alright, but when you say differences, you mean different Arabic?
What do you mean different Arabic?
That's fine.
Can you get the verse that you're trying to quote to me so I can read it?
No, you don't have the Arabic.
Okay, so with that 95%, meaning that 5% is a textual variation. Textual variation is a 5%. Now at least you're honest about it. I appreciate that.
Mr. Birmingham.
Birmingham for you.
I haven't read it. That's what the academics say. I haven't read the book.
I saw a video where the Adnan said it's identical and he went through it.
Look, I never even read it. I don't know. I haven't read it. I heard some academics say like 95%, 96%. I haven't read the thing.
What's this book? He writes it 300 years. And I'm saying, okay, so you're relying on the document that is 300 years afterwards. To
chain of narration,
make that conclusion that it's been memorized in utility. Right? And so I have no issue, saying, accepting that as a rationale, right? The argumentation that is memorized. But if you're arguing that it's been memorized fully and it's been like super confirmed, like to the T, then I have a problem with that. But I have no problem accepting that, as a rationale for, the idea that the Quran has been memorized. But you are still relying on the document that is 300 years afterwards.
So what was satisfied?
What would satisfy?
Have you finished it?
Yeah.
So what would satisfy you?
Well, that if you say that it's been, memorized from the, time of Muhammad to now, then, that warrants information from each time of Muhammad. 300 years later. I'm not saying that that means it's false. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're saying it's been memorized from the time of Muhammad until now, if you're using that as a shape, right, then I will require a source from the time of Muhammad 300 years later. I'm not saying because of that it's false. That's not my argument. But if you're saying it's been memorized, then I require something from the time of Muhammad 300 years afterwards.
What would you require?
Documentation, maybe that dates to Muhammad's time, or at least some kind of documentation. Because
I don't understand what you require. What do you require from the time of Muhammad?
That's why I was asking, do you want someone to literally wrote and memorize the Quran at the time? Is that what you're asking for? An extent, like documentation from writing that?
Yeah, some kind of documentation from that time rather than 300.
So something written?
Something possibly written, yeah. I'm not saying because there isn't one or because we've not got one now it's false. That's not my argumentation. I'm not trying to argue that it's false. I'm saying if you're saying that we've got memorized from Muhammad's time till now, then at least the document that reference should be closer than 300 years. It would help for it to be closer to Muhammad than 300 years. Because you reference the document.
So you're saying a written hadith at the time of the Prophet?
Yeah, sure. We can do that.
What about
dating to Muhammad himself?
And what would that give you if you had it?
If you've got it. Well, in this scenario, if you've got that, then at least understand your argumentation that it's been memorized from the time of Muhammad till now. The reason why we went down this path is...
I never said that. Sorry, what's your name again? I forget.
Jay.
I never said memorization.
But that's why I asked.
I said...
So that's why I brought that.
I said the standard of authenticity.
Yeah.
I never said memorization.
The standard authenticity.
Which is quite broad.
Okay.
Authenticity.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, I know what you're saying. You're saying is, so substantiate.
Just memorization.
Yeah. So I get you. So substantiate it. But what I'm saying is, you accept the lesser proofs to accept the authenticity of the Bible. To understand Bible.
Yeah, that's a different point, though. So, if I was arguing, if I said to you that we've memorized the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, it's in our heads.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Jay, this is what we're going to do.
But that's not my argumentation.
This is what we're going to do.
That's not my argumentation.
This is what we're going to do.
I'm just curious.
Without, this is important. Yeah, this is important. Without oral, we're going to use text. And what we're going to do, using text, is put up the Quran with the New Testament.
I don't discount oral tradition,
from
by the way.
using listening.
I don't discount oral tradition, by the way.
What I'm saying is,
I don't think that's his point.
what we're saying is,
Okay, girl,
what I'm saying is, let's use text of the Quran and text of the New Testament and put them together and see what. Yeah. What do we have of the Quran in the 1st century?
We have everything from the first century.
Let's have a look here. So what I'm going to do, what do you have from, well, I'll look this up quickly, from Islamic stuff. What do you have from the New Testament within the 1st century?
Whatever they used to do the Codex Sinaiticus.
1st century, I said.
No, whatever they used to write the Codex Sinaiticus.
We're talking about extant now. We're not talking about extant years ago. We're talking about what do you have extant now in this moment in time.
Yeah.
So yeah, from this moment in time right now, 2022, what do you have extant from the 1st century?
Yeah, but you know it's a long time from ago from when the Sinaiticus was written.
Yeah. So what do you have extant from the 1st century?
Well, apparently they got a little piece of something.
From the 1st century?
It doesn't have much on it.
From the 1st century?
No, I think it's from 2nd century.
2nd century. I think the earliest we got is from the 2nd century.
So is there anything from the 1st century?
No, but
nothing we found so far from the 1st century.
But at least they did a better job than the Muslims did.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so what's the answer?
No.
It was a simple question. No. What's the answer?
Well, from what I gather, nothing we found so far from the 1st century.
Okay. Do we have anything Quranic from the 1st century? We do? Are you aware of anything from the 1st century? Islamic calendar 1st century?
Well, the oldest one's Birmingham manuscript. Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
Well, you got Sun as an old one as well.
Anything else?
Well, you'll have to tell me, you're the Muslim.
Okay.
But there is a big hole in the narrative though.
That wasn't my question.
Yeah, no, but we'll come to that hole in the narrative after you.
My friend, that wasn't my question.
Yeah, no, but we're still going to come to the hole in the narrative.
That was not my question.
Yeah.
How are you?
Okay. It's alright, bro, I've got it. Okay, so we've determined from the 1st century Christian era, there, at minimum, there's a Sanya manuscript and there's Birmingham manuscript. I believe, I'm trying to find it, and my internet is slow because there's so many people.
That's what I'm saying, mine too.
But we've determined there's minimum 2 manuscripts of the Quran. So from my understanding, when it comes to the 1st century, it's 1-0. Okay? To the Quran. 0 New Testament. Okay? Right. This internet is slow, bro.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I had like 10.
There's too many people. Alright, we just have to try and go on memory. Okay?
Are we trying to win points here or something?
Okay. Well, what I mean by that, alright, it's a bit childish. What I'm saying is, we've demonstrated that there are manuscripts of the Quran within the 1st Islamic century, and there are 0 manuscripts.
Well, nothing. We've not found any. Not found any. Yeah, fine. Go ahead.
I said, what is there? Not what's the possibility. There isn't. Okay. Have you got internet?
Yeah.
So you've got the list and the dates. That's what I'm trying to find. You've got the manuscripts, the Quran and the dates. Is that what you've got? Where's the dates? So you've got percentage. You've got what verses, what thing. What's the dates?
It's first century, but it doesn't say when it's first century.
There's one called the Codex Metropolitanus, if you want that one.
Yeah? And how large is that?
So it's from the data from 7th to 8th century. It's got 17 folio. It's in the National Library of Russia in St. Petersburg. And there's another collection in London, which if you add them up, they make up 45% of the Quran. Then we've got the Sana.
So we've got the one which you've heard of, which is saying first stroke second. It's 408 folios, and it contains more than 99% of the Quran. We've got
The internet is terrible.
We've got the St. Petersburg, 2nd century, 40%. And that's the one you referenced. We've got another 2nd century, 99% of the Quran in Egypt, Cairo. We've got another one in Cairo, 1st, 2nd century. It's 306 folios, roughly 70%. We've got the Sana'a Mushaf, 1st, 2nd century, 86%.
We've got the Ma'il Mus'haf, 2nd century.
Sorry, the one you're talking about, yeah, 46%. It says 1st century, and that's in Paris. Now this is a different one. There's one in Paris. Yeah, Paris. Yeah, Metropolitanus. The Mashhad, 1st century. And 251 folios, 90% of the Quran. We've got 26% of the Quran. 1st century. Late 1st century. Last decade of the 1st century. I can't get the percentage of this, that one. Again, 1st century, Umayyad Codex, 30%. So we've got 98% to 25% within the 1st century. Okay? With the New Testament, 0. Let me emphasize this. What did I say? 0. Okay. And I said, without oral tradition, this is manuscript.
Wait, hold up a second. 1st century what? Hijrah?
Yes. The 1st century of the Islamic...
Okay, so educate me a bit. When does the 1st century Hijrah begin? When does it end?
After the Prophet migrated.
After
10 years before his death.
10 years before
his death. That's when
his death. So what, 622? Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, 622 to 672. No, that's wrong. 722. Okay.
So from the first century
So
of Christian
between
era.
622, 672, you got a manuscript.
Now talking about Christian era.
622 to 722.
Yeah, it's not nothing. Now Christian era.
So, from a Christian, 0. The closest, the earliest we have, which you've heard of, is P, which is the size of a credit card.
Okay, so can we go to the holes in the narrative here?
Can we finish discussing this first?
Do you
No, it's to do with the holes. This is what we're...
do you acknowledge what I've just said?
Yeah.
What did I say?
You said about those manuscripts which were within the 1st century and that you have for Islam.
And in Christianity?
0.
Okay. Now what can we learn from this?
That Muslims are good at escaping from the important things.
Sorry?
Muslims are good at escaping from the important matters.
What are you talking about?
Well, all those manuscripts from within the 1st century. Now, have any Muslim scholars sat down, go on there, and you can actually look up every single page of the manuscript? Yeah. So now, have any Muslims done that for any of those manuscripts? That one?
Mentioning Kitab al-Masayif. Kitab al-Masayif, Ibn Abu Dawood.
When I was quoting his page of the Quran, which means we have today, or folios, pages, which means what? They've looked at the old manuscripts of 1st century and compared them to what?
Quran.
The Quran today. So there has been a cross comparison.
Yeah.
So what's your point?
So have you heard of...
I haven't. You know why?
Why not?
Do you know why?
Why not?
I asked you a question.
Yeah.
And the question was this. Number one, let's throw the oral tradition of the Quran, let's put it aside for now. Let's just look at manuscripts. We've determined we have the Quran, at least minimum 98% of it, in manuscript form within the 1st century of the Islamic era. Almost complete. When we look at the when we look at the New Testament within the 1st century of the Christian era, we have 0. I asked you the question. What can we learn, or what do we take from this?
That the Muslims were reasonably good at preserving manuscripts.
Is 98% reasonable?
Yeah, well, they did a much better job with Sinaiticus.
Thank you.
From the 4th century, they did with the top 10.
Thank you. Now. Sorry, please repeat.
No, I said they've done a much better job with Sinaiticus because that's from the 4th century. And they still got the
No. Sinaiticus got more. No, Sinaiticus has more in it than the current New Testament, not less.
Yeah, no. So it's got
Which tells you what?
So it's got the whole of what we got.
I told you, no,
wait,
it's got more.
than what you have
It's
now.
got more. So what have you?
You have addition.
Yeah.
Well, the Bible you have now,
That's a manuscript.
the Codex Sinaiticus,
Has more in it
it
than the
has
current
more
New
than the
Testament.
current Bible. So your current Bible has passages missing from the Codex Sinaiticus.
No, is it called the Codex Bible?
No.
So what are you talking about?
What's earlier, the current Bible or the Codex Sinaiticus? What's earlier, the current Bible or the Codex Sinaiticus?
Codex Sinaiticus.
There's the Codex Sinaiticus.
Yeah, because it's a codex. It's not called the Codex Bible, is it?
Does it have additions? Does it have additions?
There's extra things in there.
Okay.
Does it have more in Mark than we have Mark in the Mark today? Does it have more in the Gospel according to Mark, attributed part of the Gospel of Mark? And we have today. So the question is, do we go more with Sinaiticus' extra Sinaiticus? There's a question mark. So we've determined that the 1st century Christian era there is 0 manuscripts. With the Quranic manuscripts, From what I've heard, at least 98%, which is more than reasonable. 98%. And then when you said I didn't hear what he said, thank you for allowing me to hear what he said. Because he's now dug an extra hole for himself. There's more within Sinaiticus in Mark than we have in Mark today. So how is that an evidence? That's a evidence against, not for. Okay, so what do we learn from this? From this point of Sinaiticus, what we learn is, can we trust the Bible today in relation to Sinaiticus? Is Sinaiticus correct, or is the Bible today correct? That's what we learn from this question. Right, what's next?
What today is what the translators have decided to use from the manuscript. So there's no difference.
Is it based on the
صحيح يا معود علي بالمدينه كلها ايش فيها هذا علي من حاكم العراق
Are there variations?
من كان حاكم الكوفه
What's the textual variations? Textual variations.
I believe so.
Okay. So how do you work out? So I mean, you mentioned 98, 99, you said, of the Quran that he got. But then there's question of variations within the text, which I mean, admittedly, we have the same manuscript.
That's a good point.
Like, whether you can have, okay, granted, let's say you have a manuscript from the day Muhammad died, right? Let's say you found something like that. Right? Let's say you got that, and then you got like, more manuscripts, like, let's say you got tons of manuscripts. So let's say, you got tons of manuscripts from the day Muhammad died, right? Until now. I mean, you still, like you just said, like you still got, the question is in the text. Which, I mean, admittedly, we got the same as well, so I'm not using that as an argument against. But just because you have something dating, as early as, like the time of that verse says, as which it
said first century.
Okay, first century from that. So, okay, you got something from the first century. We've not, found anything from the first century, at least for the Bible. How are you therefore concluding that it's not reliable?
Okay.
Or is that your conclusion? Like, therefore, it's not reliable because we've not found anything from the first.
We were talking about the Codex Sinaiticus. So from the 4th century, they managed to preserve a manuscript of the Roman Codex Vaticanus as well. And there's another one from, I think, the 5th century as well in Alexandria, I can't remember. So if they managed to keep those copies of the writings from the Bible, why did the Muslims, what are the Muslim Uthmani supposed to have had written of the Quran?
I think you should ask your question without referencing.
No, the reason why is because they're from the 4th and 5th century.
Right.
So in a time from before, Osman did his copy. So we know.
So what we should do is look at what Qurans we have from the 4th and 5th century Islamic era, because St. Vaticanus and the Alexandria Codex are from the 4th, 5th century Christian era. That is a comparable comparison, not a
The Marcy is because In the hadith, it says that they,
Right.
so if you have 5 perfect copies of the Quran,
Right.
and we already know that people have kept ancient
Why?
because it's the Quran, you know, Holy Quran from Allah, so it's an important book. So the concept of Agnostic, that's important. So they managed to preserve it.
No. What I'm saying is this: copies of the Bible from the 4th, 5th century, which is the earliest complete Bible that you have, and some with the Sinaiticus, with textual tradition. Okay, if the Christians didn't have an oral tradition, that's to the detriment of the early Christians. That's not my problem.
Obviously they would have had
Because if we what we believe is if the textual evidences or proofs or sharing of knowledge, that's why we've got the oral tradition to rely on as well. If you don't have that, papyri, that was more of a reason why the Christians should have oral tradition over the Muslims. It's because your papyri was susceptible to degradation rather than our writing on leather.
Question about oral tradition. How do you know about this oral tradition?
Because it's shared orally.
Alright, so like from where?
Yeah, from where?
What do you mean?
Well, because you had the period of time when the Ottomans.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, when you want an oral tradition, you have to have a group of people in the area to carry on that tradition. Yeah. So, but then a point in time came when it was the Ottomans who seemed to be running Islam.
Not necessarily.
All right. So that's what I'm saying. So if you say not necessarily, when Islam was strong apart from the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah, Southeast Asia, subcontinent.
Oh no, I'm talking about Arabs because they're the origins of Islam.
No.
Oh, so then doesn't that then mean that Arab?
Were the Ottomans Arabs?
No, the Turks.
Right. So you said the Ottomans were what? The strongest.
Yeah, for a certain period of time.
Yeah, within a certain area.
Yeah.
Okay. But they weren't Arabs.
A particular reading of the Quran.
Right.
That mean that they were now the officials because they had the power. Yeah. So what I'm wondering is the tradition started out with the Arabs.
Islam.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So those people who had that tradition, did their lands in the invaded by the Ottomans?
Yes.
Right. So that tradition.
The continuation.
Yeah. Well, where were they located?
Who?
These people Arabs who would have kept that tradition going. Because remember, it's oral. They have to be able to speak to each other over. I'm trying to remember the word. Regularly. That's it. They'd have to be reciting.
So, which is the Arabian Peninsula, Iraq, and the Levant areas, and then with the expansion of the Islamic Empire, then you had Arab migration. So, for example, into North Africa, into parts of East Africa. Then you had Arabs go over to Southeast Asia. You had Arabs go over to the subcontinent. You had Arabs go into Europe, like Sicily, southern Italy, Spain and Portugal, etc., etc. So wherever Arabs went, Islam went with them.
And they took these traditions you're talking about, the oral traditions, they took it with them.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And so these oral traditions, did they ever get written down?
And what do you mean by oral traditions?
No, well, you're saying these oral traditions, this
Sahih Bukhari. He's not an Arab.
Yeah, no, he's from up the. Where is it?
Uzbekistan.
Yeah, that's it.
Sahih Muslim is not an Arab.
Okay.
I believe in Abu Dawood is not an Arab. Okay, so there are many persons within the Islamic tradition who are not Arab.
Yeah, but it's...
So it's not, number one, it's not an Arab-centric sharing of knowledge. Or control of knowledge. You learn, regardless. You know, it's not only with the Arabs.
Yeah, but the thing about tradition though is that unless the original people get to like police it, it can't end up getting changed.
How?
Well, by people just deciding that if they hear something about a particular tradition and it's inconvenient for their particular, you know, embellish it slightly.
I agree. They could attempt to.
Yeah.
That's why we have what you call it, fabricated hadiths and weak hadiths and.
But here's the amazing thing.
Various grades of hadiths.
How do they work out whether a hadith is fabricated or not?
I'm trying to realize your line of questioning here.
Yeah,
because what has that got to do with trusting whether a non-Arab is truthful in what they're saying?
No, because there are places where these traditions could have been changed without being able to verify if the change there is the same as what was originally there.
Give me an example. How? Give me an example.
Well, a good one is, you know, I'm just trying to remember. Well, I mean, you have the most recent one, which is, you know, in Mecca, when it comes to you're supposed to stone the devil, and it used to be just one pole, wasn't it? Where and you have the dish with the stones are collected. So they had a specific tradition for that. And then what they found out is that Islam became so popular. And to explain that, they actually changed the tradition.
So they put more poles?
Yeah, but they've actually changed what they say in the tradition. They've actually changed the explanation for it, because obviously there was an explanation for it.
What do you mean?
No, they changed, because first they said that it was one pole, you had to stone, say, for 3 days. So it's stone saved for 3 days for one pole.
Literally in this area there was one obelisk, not stone, obelisk.
Yeah.
And then because of the increase of population, they put a further 2.
Yeah.
In the same vicinity.
Right. But then, so when a Muslim comes and asks, oh, what are the things, are they going to say that, oh, it's just that, well actually I think they've taken away the old one, haven't they?
I believe so.
Yes, 3 new ones. So literally you can't say the original tradition for the one that was there before, because it's gone. So,
right.
So now whatever they say, they've got to explain why this through.
But you've just explained why.
No, this is just what I've heard, but obviously there's a more detailed explanation of the scholars.
No, you just explained why. Because of the increase in population.
Yeah, but it's the fact that they've made a change to the tradition, that's my point.
Is the tradition known and acknowledged? It's a change in is the change in the number of obelisks known?
Yeah, but was it acknowledged by Muhammad?
Oh, was it? Was it authorized by Muhammad, peace be upon him?
Oh yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, or that. Yeah, authorized.
That's down to the Islamic law and what we can change and what we can't change.
All right. So there's somewhere where Islamic law can be changed according to the situation.
Yeah.
Do you know what that's called?
So I'll give an example. I can't eat pig.
Yeah.
Pig.
Yeah, but that's from an old hadith, so that's already authorized back in the time.
Hold on,
That's authorized already.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I can eat pig.
Yeah.
Okay. So within Islamic laws, there's something called qiyas, analogy.
Yeah.
Okay. So if there's a situation where the situation itself is not mentioned, you look at any closer situations which can help a scholar or whoever analogize, well, what can we do? What alternatives are we?
Yeah.
So for the ease, it said, right, okay, there was one obelisk, because of the probable detriment to life in terms of crowding, which has happened unfortunately, people dying or being crushed, which has happened unfortunately. What we're going to do is now we're going to increase it to 3 for the betterment and for the ease of the people.
Right.
So they've used analogy to do that.
Right.
It's called qiyas.
Okay, yeah, so that thing, did that come from the, because you know you've got the 4 schools of
Yeah.
jurisprudence, I think they call it. So were they the ones who decided that?
Yeah.
Right, and so this is something that they can decide post like Quran and Sunnah.
But they use the Sunnah to influence those rulings. They don't do it autonomously.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have been able to come up with an exact.
I'll give an example. Can they demolish the Kaaba and build it in some things they know they cannot change? And there's certain things using the Quran and Sunnah to influence the decision.
Right.
And that's the case. Case in point. With people, let's go and build Mecca in a limit.
Did Muhammad authorized?
Because those 3 locations for stoning are in the same location where the original location was.
Oh, yeah, but it was one. So whatever your prophet describes, you would have described it in relation to just one place.
No. It's the same place.
Yeah.
We're talking about one object.
But there is tradition depending on certain situations.
Yes.
Right. So, but then that's the interesting thing. So what that kind of shows to me then is that when it comes to the Bible, our God did a very good job of putting things together so that what He's told us is relevant like throughout all the time, and He's not giving us anything to do which can be affected by something that happens in the future. So it's like He knows the future better, because by making sure not to give us any kind of things to do which can be adversely affected by something that happens, almost as if He knows.
If required. That's what I'm trying to say. The change is allowed within the...
Yeah, but is that from Allah?
Yes, it's from using the Quran and the Sunnah.
Certain things can be changed in relation to the...
Yes, I'll give an example. Ruined.
Yeah.
Through Islam, we're allowed to rebuild it on the same spot.
Okay.
That allows for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Could we demolish whatnot? Could we then elect to build it elsewhere? No, we can't. So Islamic law allows change. What we're going to do is we're going to all pray and face Paris and pray as a direction of prayer.
Yeah.
Can we ever do that? No. So there's things we can change if required, and there's things we cannot change. I'll give you an example. The example you gave of 3. Yes, we've increased it from 1 to 3. That gives you an understanding that we could amend, but only to a certain limit.
Yeah, but then, so what you're describing, it can lead to one sort of like huge problem from that I see, is that how these four schools, they're the ones who now are the ones who determine the rules, and obviously other scholars have to agree with them. But then, what is the precisely that these four schools, they are the ones which are.
So what you're saying? What gives these four schools of thought legitimacy?
Yeah.
Each other.
Okay, so there's nothing external to them.
They give each other legitimacy, number one.
Right.
And number two, there's something in Islam called dalil, evidence. So if you tell me something, I have to ask you, show me the evidence.
Right.
Where are you getting this from?
Okay.
So if there's an exact, absolute evidence, then you show me it. If something, stem cell research, they didn't have it back then.
No.
Altering cells, alter the human's makeup for their betterment or for worse.
Yeah.
For example. Okay. So that has to be looked from Islamic law of what we knew and did then, and what we can take out the Quran and the Sunnah to allow us to enable to come up with a decision whether stem cell research is allowed or not. And I'm sure so that's what we use. So any of the schools of thought, if they use something, it's down to interpretation from either the Quran or the Sunnah. They never get something totally from their own whims and desires.
Okay, so you say that, because here's something which I've had from multiple Muslims when I've asked them, and it's relation to the, some Muslims saying that the Apostle Paul is the Antichrist. The Apostle Paul, they're saying he's the Antichrist. So I'm not trying to go on to that subject, but this is one of the things where I've found a leaflet actually it's a little booklet written by a sheikh.
What's the name of your channel?
That's not nice.
What's the name of your channel?
Oh, Israelites will return to take down Islam.
What's it called?
Israelites will return to take down Islam.
That's the name of your channel, YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Well, carry on.
Yeah. So I've actually read the booklet where it explains how the Apostle Paul is the Antichrist. So now I'm looking at that booklet and I'm thinking to myself, what's this got to do with Islam? Because Muslims, they're supposed to know about their Prophet, about the Quran and Allah. And I'm reading a booklet from a Muslim dawah table on the high street, and he's talking about Apostle Paul being the Antichrist. Now I'm reading that thinking, okay, I don't see anywhere where Allah would authorize something like this. Never really where your Prophet said that the Apostle Paul was Antichrist either. So when I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, okay, this has come from some scholars. So does it sound like that's what's happening?
What do you mean?
No, this leaflet, why? It's an official leaflet that's used.
Number one, you want to ask the scholar or the author.
Yeah, but they're using it on the dawah table.
Why? And his intentions, go and ask him.
Yeah, I know that, but it just looks like since it's a printed leaflet, that means it's been authorized by, and I'm presuming that some scholar who's official must have authorized it.
Not necessarily.
But my point in
not necessarily.
But my point in bringing it up is that the fact that they could do that means that these scholars in these four schools, how would you know that one of the implications to know that a subject like this, which of course isn't specifically about Islam itself, but it's about attacking another faith, then is there any rules, or can they just like go wild and decide,
No. So it says in the Quran, don't go and curse in general. Their God's turn is curse God Allah.
Yeah.
And it goes also when you speak to someone, speak in good terms, and try and come to a common term that God is one.
Yeah.
So it gives you the etiquette of how to deal with non-Muslims in relation to talking about religion.
But this one, the reason I mentioned this one particular one is because it seems like it's actually something which Muslims are being taught. Because there's another Muslim I spoke was Antichrist. He said, yeah, he is. And I'm thinking, okay, he seems to respond very quickly. So then I asked him, okay, where did you get this teaching from? And his reply is very ambiguous. So it's as if it's a teaching which is going on in, I presume, mosque, or maybe it's getting from the internet. I don't know.
Personally, I've never come across scholar or even any literature that says Paul is an antichrist. So that's all I've got to say on the matter. Okay, mate. Catch you later.
Yeah, alright.
Those people who were at the time of Noah,
we were talking about dictatorship. In our opinion, if somebody comes in Somalia, fix the country.
What I read in the Bible tells me things only. Correct, so you what will happen when he comes back. So
look around. Anyway, I'm ready.
Jesus is coming back.
right, but if someone don't touch you, of course I like it. If you don't know something, if that's to me, if that's to me, okay. So you think it's okay to touch people you don't know? Why not send that to the bishop again? Most people do not like people who they don't know touching you. Why? Doesn't make any sense. Do you like people who you don't know touching you? No, listen. Do you like people you don't know touching you? Of course. If I'm talking to you, then I'm touching you. If I'm talking to you. Okay, so if you're walking on the street and someone touches you, if you don't are you don't talk to me? Yes. Okay. Yes. And then if they talk to you and they completely touch you, are you gonna like it? Because I'm not gay. That's not nothing to do with behind it. I'll tell you. I'm working at the home office. I know the reason. And I don't know her. I said. That's harassment. Let's get back to the point. Let's get back to the point. Prove to me only why you're a Muslim. That's the question I asked him.
What I'm saying don't have nothing to do with the religion.
Why are you a Muslim?
Because don't have nothing to do with the religion.
So,
here we go. Yeah, and they will prove it to you.
Do you have a book? You don't have it. You are bookless. So I want you to read. If you go home,
Read the Quran, verse 30, if you have it. Verse 30.
I asked you why you're a Muslim, and now you want me to go home.
Okay, God, I just want to tell you that because you don't have a book. God created me a Muslim.
God created you a Muslim.
Because the Quran told me that.
Oh, the Quran told you. So it's true. So what if another book tells you that you're if another book tells you that you're not?
Let me ask you a question. Who told you that you are? Who told you that your parents are your parents? Who told you? It's a book. It's a paper.
Well, everyone from them.
No, who told you that your actual mother is your mother? Who told you that?
I didn't say that. I said I'm from my mother.
I said
whoever my mother is.
Your mother. That's my question. Answer me that.
But that's not the question I'm going to answer because you said to me, where did I come from? I said I came from my mother. Then you wanted to know what land I came from. I told you I came from this land. Now the question is, why are you a Muslim?
Because
I asked you why you're a Muslim. Because you said because the Quran mentioned you.
What?
The Quran don't mention you by name.
I'm not part of mankind.
Yeah, but it don't mention you by name. What did you?
I'm not part of mankind.
Yeah, I asked you.
Allah said that He created mankind as a Muslim.
Yeah, so
I'm not a part of mankind.
So did the Old Testament.
What?
So did the Zoroastrian.
Where? Doesn't.
So did the other religious books. So did the book
You
of the
heard
Sikhs.
that? No proof.
No, but so did the book of the Hindu.
You heard that?
And the book of the Sikhs.
You cannot prove it because you heard people.
Okay. Are you saying to me Muslims are the only people who have a book that tells them that they came from God?
What?
Are you telling me that Muslims are the only people who have a book that tells them that they came from God? That other religions don't have the same book?
We all, according to the Bible, according to the Quran, we all are Muslims.
According to the Bible, we're all.
According to the Quran, God creates all of us Muslims.
No, but you said according to the Bible.
Quran, sir.
Okay.
According to all of us.
But what if I don't believe it?
If you are tired now, you're going to go to sleep. You don't have any choice. You follow what God wants you to do. If you're tired, go to sleep. That's why you follow God indirectly. You are Muslim. But when you come, you can choose to be Muslim or not.
Okay, tell me the definition of a Muslim.
Muslim is the one who submits their will totally to their Creator.
Is everybody submitting their will to the Creator?
All of us.
How do you not submit your will to the Creator?
You cannot.
Okay, so everyone, so
it's impossible.
So you can't not be a Muslim.
You are Muslim.
No, but you can't not be a Muslim.
Like what?
No, you said everybody submits to Allah. Yes. You said you cannot submit to Allah.
You cannot be a Muslim.
Yeah. So how can you be? How can you not be
submitted to God?
No, but you said, remember, you said everybody submits. You also said no one can not submit their will to Allah.
Yes. So
no one can be an ex-Muslim.
What?
So you can't be ex-Muslim, you can't be a Christian.
Ex-Muslim doesn't make any sense.
No, but you can't be a Christian.
Like what?
No, but you can't be a Christian. You can't. Because everybody has to be a Muslim. You can't leave Islam.
The Bible is from who?
The Bible.
The Bible doesn't say that someone is called a Christian. It doesn't exist.
No, but remember what you said. You said everybody. Did you get that? Did you get that debate that we were having? Yeah. And apparently his point was everybody follows the will of Allah. You can't not follow the will of Allah. So you can't not be a Muslim. So there's no such thing as non-Muslim. There's no such thing. Also does not teach that you can't not be a Muslim.
So why can't you believe in him?
Doing a lot of things.
Why can't you believe in him?
He was inviting them. You said he never
Yeah, for example, burying them alive. Do you think that was a good thing? Muhammad prevented that.
You said, remember what you said? You said that Muhammad didn't kill anyone.
No.
I said he ordered the killing of pagans.
Anyway, I'm not convincing you Islam is a good religion or but I'm just want you. You're living in a multicultural. But what are people? But I'm saying that we are living in a multicultural country. My friend, Christians should have the right to worship. Yeah,
he agrees. I think you said that you agree.
You've got the Hazaras, you've got the Pashtuns, you've got Uzbeks.
But my friend, we don't.
Multiculturalism. You've got a multicultural society, but your people attack the Sikhs, the Hindus, the Christians, the Buddhists.
Yeah, but we are not. I'm talking about here. Why you are just
going? He asked you a question about Afghanistan. Because do you believe in multiculturalism for the whole world?
Multicultural. How could I say that? My friend, saying that UK clearly saying that we are a democratic society, multicultural. Oh my God. No, but we are honest, at least we are honest. But you say something, but you don't mean it. For example, you do.
Do you believe in multiculturalism in other countries?
But if I go to Poland, I would never say that I want to be multicultural. Government. I would never say that. But UK, you say that you're allowed to. UK allow you to be multicultural.
That's not the question. Listen to the question.
In UK, I do believe.
But in other countries, should different cultures live together in other countries?
You're telling me. You're telling me. But I'm talking about here. Oh my God. Please. Let's talk about here. He doesn't.
Do you believe in multiculturalism?
No, but he means what is
Do you believe that people should live together? Different cultures.
There are laws that's up to them.
I tell you the problem you're jumping into a debate without knowing what we're talking
about. No, because I know where you come from.
No, but you're jumping into a debate.
No, it's not. Exactly.
He asked if we believe in multiculturalism. Yeah.
Where?
I said I believe.
Where?
In the world.
In the world.
Yeah. He said
every country.
He said he only believes in multiculturalism in England.
Because England.
He doesn't believe in multiculturalism.
It's like you ask him. If you ask him if it's good or allowed for gay marriage. If English, listen, it's telling the truth. In this country, there's things that they allow. As its countries, every country has its own law.
Do you believe in multiculturalism in the world? Do you believe in multiculturalism in the world? People of different cultures should live together.
You cannot bring something from this country.
Country have they have their own way of living
in the country. I'm asking you. I'm asking your opinion.
About what?
Why are you talking about the country? I'm asking you.
This man is telling you that, of course, he wanted that country, never allowed it. That's what he said.
Do you believe people of different cultures should live together?
Of course, yes. That's the problem.
Do you believe people of different cultures should live together?
But it depends on the country as well.
See, everyone else can answer the question.
No.
Do you believe that people should live together in England, nowhere else?
Okay, listen.
That's his opinion?
Listen. I'm going to go there. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you. As I always tell people, I'm working at Home Office in Corridor. And you know what we do there, yeah? You know what we do there? When we are about to give people nationality, everyone knows it. There's people who got nationality by birth, by descent,